The night started like any other on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, with the usual laughter, applause, and playful banter. Pierce Brosnan, the legendary actor known for his suave James Bond portrayal and countless blockbuster roles, walked on stage to thunderous cheers. Dressed impeccably in a tailored navy suit, he looked every bit a Hollywood icon. Fallon began with the standard light-hearted questions about Brosnan's latest project, a gritty drama he was promoting, and the mood seemed jovial at first. The audience leaned in, expecting the easy charm Pierce was famous for. But within minutes, the conversation turned unexpectedly tense, and what should have been a celebratory guest appearance spiraled into a shocking confrontation that no one in the studio or watching at home was prepared for. Fallon, always the mischievous host, decided to dig into Brosnan's past instead of focusing on the film. Pulling out a cheeky cue card, Fallon quipped, "You know, Pierce, some fans say your Bond movies were the weakest of the franchise, more gadgets than grit. What do you say to that?" The audience chuckled nervously, but Brosnan's expression froze. His piercing blue eyes narrowed, and he gave a small, tense smile. "Is that what you brought me here for, Jimmy? To belittle my career?" The room fell quiet. Fallon tried to laugh it off, but it was clear Brosnan didn't find the joke amusing. What had started as harmless banter instantly shifted into hostile territory. Instead of backing down, Fallon doubled down, trying to play it off as comedy. No, I mean come on, Pierce, it's all in good fun. You're a legend, but we can all agree Die Another Day wasn't a broken bar exactly Shakespeare. The audience erupted in awkward laughter, but Brosnan leaned forward, his tone sharp. "You sit there every night making jokes at other people's expense. You've never made a film, never risked putting your soul into a character, and yet you think you can sit in judgment? That's not comedy, Jimmy, that's cowardice." The crowd gasped audibly, some even applauding. Fallon's trademark grin faltered, replaced by visible discomfort as the tension mounted. Fallon attempted to recover, fumbling with his cue cards. Hey, relax. We're just having a little fun here. Don't take it so seriously." But Brosnan wasn't letting it go. "You hide behind this desk, behind laughter, behind scripts written for you by a team of writers. Do you know what it means to carry a franchise? To have millions of people judge you for decades, to pour your heart into something and then have someone reduce it to a punchline?" His voice grew louder, and the audience began clapping again, some cheering him on as if it were a debate rather than a talk show. Fallon's awkward chuckle did little to ease the growing fire in the room. Fallon shifted gears, trying desperately to steer the interview back to safer ground, but Brosnan wasn't finished. He referenced moments from his career where critics mocked him, particularly after Die Another Day, and admitted it had haunted him for years. "You think because I smile and charm my way through interviews that words don't cut? They do. And you've just cut deep tonight, Jimmy." His voice trembled slightly with emotion, but his anger gave it a razor's edge. The live audience sat stunned, half in awe of Brosnan's candor, half squirming at the rawness of the exchange. Fallon, visibly sweating, muttered, "Yeah, I didn't mean to a broken bar," and then came the breaking point. Brosnan suddenly stood up, unclipped his microphone, and declared loudly, "I don't need this. I've given decades to this industry, and I won't sit here and be humiliated." Gasps filled the studio as the actor stormed off stage, his polished shoes echoing with every step. Fallon, left sitting awkwardly in his chair, nervously laughed, trying to wave it off as part of the show. "You a broken bar, ladies and gentlemen, Pierce Brosnan." "Give him a hand." A broken bar, his voice cracked, betraying his unease. The audience clapped hesitantly, unsure if they had just witnessed a staged bit or a very real meltdown. Backstage, Brosnan refused to return, ignoring producers who pleaded with him to finish the segment. Fallon scrambled to fill the airtime, awkwardly pulling out a comedy skit that had been scheduled later in the show. But the damage was done. The tension hung in the air like static, and the audience couldn't shake the image of Pierce storming off in fury. Cameras caught Fallon's nervous glances toward the side stage, as though hoping Brosnan might walk back out with a smile to reveal it was all a gag. But that moment never came. By the next morning, clips of the confrontation had gone viral across social media platforms. Hashtags like #Pierce vs. Fallon, #Bond storms off, and #Fallon humiliated trended worldwide. Fans were split as some praised Brosnan for standing up for himself and exposing the shallow nature of late-night humor, while others criticized him for being overly sensitive, arguing that Fallon was just doing his job. Memes flooded Twitter, with one viral post showing Brosnan walking off the stage captioned, "The most Bond exit ever." Fallon, meanwhile, became the subject of ridicule for provoking a Hollywood icon and being unable to contain the fallout. Media outlets seized the story immediately. Entertainment Tonight ran with the headline, "Pierce Brosnan explodes on Fallon walks off set in fury." Meanwhile, The Hollywood Reporter published a think piece about the pressures actors face carrying massive franchises like James Bond, and how Brosnan's legacy had unfairly been reduced to a handful of negative reviews. Fallon's own credibility took a hit, with commentators accusing him of hiding behind cheap jokes instead of respecting his guests. Within 24 hours, the incident was no longer just celebrity gossip, it had become a debate about respect, art, and comedy's responsibility. Neither Fallon nor Brosnan immediately issued a statement, fueling even more speculation. Insiders leaked that NBC executives were furious, fearing Brosnan's refusal to return might sour other celebrities from appearing on the show. Meanwhile, fans began calling for Fallon to publicly apologize on air. Brosnan, however, reportedly told close friends that he had no regrets and that Fallon had crossed the line. Whether the two would reconcile remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: this was no scripted late-night stunt. It was one of the most shocking, unscripted breakdowns in talk show history, an unfiltered clash between a beloved Hollywood icon and a host who pushed one joke too far. In the days following the explosive walk-off, the entertainment world buzzed with non-stop commentary. Paparazzi hounded Pierce Brosnan outside restaurants, airports, and even his Malibu home, shouting questions about the incident. Brosnan, visibly tense but composed, gave curt responses like "I said what I needed to say" or simply waved off reporters. Meanwhile, Fallon appeared on his next episode unusually subdued, opening the show with a forced smile. "So broken bar last night got a little broken bar heated," he admitted to nervous laughter from the audience. "Pierce is an incredible actor and a legend. I might have gone too far with the jokes, and I want to apologize if I offended him." Though the apology was mild, it signaled that the tension was real, not a gimmick. Yet Fallon's attempt at damage control did little to stop the storm. Critics called the apology half-hearted and PR safe. Social media erupted again, with fans demanding a more genuine acknowledgement. One viral TikTok stitched Fallon's apology with Brosnan's angry walk-off, captioned, "This is why celebs don't want to do late night anymore." Fallon's reputation as the safe, goofy host took a major hit, with some suggesting his constant need to mock guests had finally backfired. By contrast, Brosnan's fan base surged with support. Millions shared clips of his best Bond moments and defended his right to demand respect for his legacy. Behind the scenes, NBC executives reportedly scrambled. Anonymous insiders leaked that the network feared Brosnan's fury would deter other A-list stars from booking appearances. Fallon's team debated whether to invite Brosnan back for a peacemaking segment, but sources close to the actor claimed he refused. One insider revealed, "Pierce feels Fallon humiliated him. He has no interest in helping Fallon save face. He's moved on, but he won't forget." The standoff grew into a cold war of sorts, of Fallon wanting reconciliation for his show's survival, and Brosnan wanting silence and distance. Hollywood insiders began to weigh in publicly. Former co-stars of Brosnan praised him for his composure and called Fallon's behavior unprofessional. Even Daniel Craig, the Bond successor himself, was asked during a press event, and though he chuckled diplomatically, he added, "Pierce carried that franchise for years. He deserves nothing but respect." That single comment fueled more headlines, painting Brosnan as the veteran unfairly ridiculed, while Fallon appeared increasingly like a late-night clown who had overstepped. The ripple effect spread across talk shows. Other hosts suddenly softened their tone with celebrity guests, clearly wary of becoming the next viral humiliation. By the end of the week, Fallon's ratings began slipping. Viewers tuned in to watch the initial fallout but gradually dropped off as the show's energy faltered. Producers attempted desperate gimmicks as celebrity games, surprise guests, but nothing could erase the shadow of Brosnan's storm-off. Meanwhile, Brosnan's upcoming drama, ironically, gained massive traction. Tickets for pre-release screenings sold out within hours, and his interviews with other outlets were viewed as cathartic, with journalists handling him with extra care. One outlet even ran the headline, "Brosnan wins the Fallow to Fallon left scrambling." For Brosnan, the walk-off became both a burden and a badge of honor. In a candid interview with a British magazine weeks later, he admitted, "I didn't plan to walk out, but there comes a moment in every man's life where you refuse to be mocked for who you are. I've given my heart to this industry, and I won't sit there to be a punchline." His words resonated across generations of actors, many of whom privately complained about how late-night shows use their guests as fodder. The incident had inadvertently sparked a larger conversation about respect, dignity, and the often toxic relationships between Hollywood stars and media platforms. Fallon, on the other hand, struggled to regain trust. Multiple reports emerged of guests requesting to pre-approve certain questions or skits before agreeing to appear. The spontaneous, carefree charm that once defined Fallon's show had now been replaced with cautious tension. Some critics even predicted his eventual replacement, speculating that the Brosnan blow-up might mark the beginning of the end for his tenure. Fallon tried repeatedly to downplay the incident, even joking about it in monologues. But audiences weren't laughing anymore. The damage felt permanent. The cultural impact deepened when fan-made edits of Brosnan's storm-off circulated widely, set to dramatic music and even reimagined as a Bond scene. One viral video showed Brosnan walking out with captions, "007, license to walk." Another compared the clash to an interrogation scene, framing Fallon as a villain crumbling under Brosnan's cool defiance. What could have been a career blemish for Brosnan transformed into an iconic moment of power. It cemented his image not as a fragile actor unable to take a joke, but as a man of conviction who refused to be diminished. Months later, Fallon finally addressed the clash in a sit-down interview of his own, revealing he had reached out privately to Brosnan with a heartfelt apology. He admitted, "I crossed the line. I thought I was being funny, but I forgot how much words can sting." Pierce didn't deserve that. While some praised him for taking accountability, many noted it came far too late. Brosnan, when asked about the apology, simply nodded and said, "I accept it, but I won't forget it." His calm, clipped response once again went viral, showing that while forgiveness was possible, reconciliation was still out of reach. In the end, the confrontation between Pierce Brosnan and Jimmy Fallon became one of the most notorious late-night scandals of the decade. It exposed the fragile balance between comedy and cruelty, between entertainment and exploitation. Fallon's brand never fully recovered, while Brosnan's legacy soared, solidifying him not just as a screen icon but as a man unwilling to let his life's work be reduced to a cheap laugh. What was supposed to be another harmless night of jokes and games instead became a cultural turning point, a fiery that even in respect is non-negotiable, and one moment of raw honesty can echo louder than years of scripted laughter.